So about this course, let me just quickly run us through what the course is all about. So successful Azure administrators start this role with experience on operating systems. That's the truth. You should have like little experience of OS, virtualization, cloud infrastructure, storage structures, and networking. And this course, there is like a background history of this course, which I just want to quickly talk about. Like before, I think 5-6 years ago, you can't just write one exam and become a certified Azure administrator. You have to write like 2 exams. I think 533. They call it exam 533 and 102 is the 102. So later they change it to Az-103 and they move to, and again they retire that and they change it to Az-104. So now you can only write Az-104 and become like a certified Azure administrator. So they call it Azure Administrator Associate. That is your role, right? That's the certification. That's what it's all about. So for the role, cloud administrators manage the cloud service that span storage, networking, compute cloud capabilities with a deep understanding of each service across the full IT cycle, right? And the skill you should be able to get, or you should have as a certified Azure administrator, you should be able to operate application services. You should be able to work on Azure App Service. You should also be able to work on Azure Virtual Machine, Azure Identities, Azure Active Directory, Azure Storage, MFA, multi-factor authentication, privileged identity management, that's PIM, and also Azure subscription. So I know for some of us that are familiar with Azure, we will know that, especially for the people that are from tech expert, so that these people have different LOBs, right? I believe there are people that manages the subscription. They call them subscription management. There are people that manages the virtual machine. There are people that manages the networking aspect of Azure. So it is like you having an idea of all these line of businesses and you becoming a certified administrator associate. So it is not just for the people working in tech expert, really. There are some occupations that actually need you to have this certification if you want to be well respected in your role. Let me give you an example. Let's say as a network and computer system admin, if you're certified in this course, you will go a long way, because here normally you are able to install, configure, maintain, an organization's local area network, which is LAN, or wide area network. So if you have the idea of, or if you're certified on Azure Administrator, you will have a better understanding of how to even move your people or migrate your people from on-prem to the cloud. So for solutions architects, there are ways that you need to be able to talk about what is happening in the digital estate of that organization and how you can move what is in that digital estate to the cloud, right? They call it migration. So if you're not familiar with that, I know we are getting there, but the truth about this course, let me just set the expectation so that it won't look like after 2-3 hours, I said, that's the end of the class. The truth about this course is not a course we can do in 3 hours. Let me quickly set that expectation. It is not something that we can run through. I understand that we are here for the certification, for the secret of how to pass the exam. Fine, I'm going to give us all that. However, I will share the documentations, what you need to read while you're trying to study for the exam. But the truth is, if you are going to have an instructor-led training, it is not going to be 3 hours. And standard practice, let me just say this, Microsoft organizes training for their customers for 4 days. So there's no magic Adeni can perform here. that he will be able to compress 4 days course to 3 hours. I hope that is clear. I just need to quickly set that expectation so that it won't look like we are not together. So this is like the standard course schedule, which is Microsoft's copy. For the first day, you work on administration identity. You go for lunch, you come back to learn something on governance and compliance. All this can be done. In fact, we can spend 2-3 hours on each of these topics, over 2 to 3 hours on each of them, right? So I just need to quickly set the expectation that I understand you want to, have the hints and the secret to pass the exam, but at the same time, you need to put in the work. So you can always verify, if you open like a Microsoft Learn profile, you can always read through the documentation and it will, be recorded for you in your name. And you can always access your course material as well. All those ones, if you are really interested in learning Azure Administrator, all these ones are the essentials. You should be able to have access. In fact, I will drop the link so that you can have access to all of these things, where you can, the prerequisite for Azure Administrator, the how to manage identities and governance in Azure. So there is nothing really hidden here. It is something you can learn on your own without even Adini saying, oh, if you do not click this, you won't get what you're looking for. You can always learn on your own. You can always read documentations on your own. But why do Microsoft always want to help people, or why do they have instructor-led training? The essence is, while you're trying to find your way around the platform and you get stuck, it is easy for an instructor to tell you, oh, there's a mistake you're doing, and we call that troubleshooting. So, and basis of troubleshooting is for you to just see the error and understand the error and get past it. So that is why I just have to, explain this. I'll drop the link for the course materials. You can download them, read them, study them on your own, and register for your exam. Okay, let me just quickly talk about the certification exam here. Understanding the skills measured by the exam. Like I said, it is not you just going to Azure portal. For manage Azure Identities governance, the percentage of the questions you see in the exam is 20 to 25%. So imagine you don't know anything on manage Azure Identities. Let's say for the people in networking, you don't understand how to manage Azure Identities and governance. How are you going to get the 20 to 25% of this course? Obviously, minus that from the overall score. So you are left with 80%. Let's say you can only implement and manage storage, probably for the people in the line of business of maybe virtual machine, and you can deploy and manage Azure Compute resources. So these are the two things Let's say worse, you have 45%. 45% will not make you pass this course. That is the truth. So you need to be able to understand how to manage Azure Identities and governance. You need to be able to implement and manage storage. You need to be able to deploy and manage Azure Compute resources. You need to be able to configure and manage VNet, virtual network. Also, it is not just provisioning and management. You should be able to monitor and backup. That is like 10 to 15%, right? So all these are the necessary things you should know. So I might not be able to give you everything in this class because it's just 3 hours class, and we can't do everything in 3 hours. That's the truth. So to manage Azure Identity, let's say you as an administrator, you have like an on-prem identity. I believe for people that are familiar with IT infrastructure, understand what I mean by on-prem identities. And that on-premise identity, you have to now sync it. Let's say you sync that on-premise to, let me see, okay, just do this. You sync it with Microsoft Entra. That's Entra ID. So the synchronization aspect is this. Let me just put that so that it is clear. So this is some of the things you should be able to achieve. How do you sync on-premise identity to Microsoft's Entra ID? So how do you do that? These are the questions we will have to answer. Not just for the certification, not just for the exam, but it's something that you should be able to answer even if you are operating on your customer or your organization's cloud environment. So let me do this. So if we have, then you can also have what's it called? They call it external identity. So let's say you have an organization that wants to get a consultant to come and work on their cloud platform. So you should be able, I think they call that B2B, that's business to business. So let's say B2B. So what are you supposed to have as an external person? Let's say, let me just external identity. So two things are involved here. It's either you are a guest user or they create a profile for you, right? So that's that for that. Let me clear this. Apologies for this cleanup. So then Microsoft Entra also, two things are involved for Microsoft Entra. What are the two things that are involved? You can either have user accounts, or you have I have to remove that arrow, sorry. User or group. So all this, I just want to draw this so that when I'm explaining from the portal, you have a better understanding of why I'm doing this. So let's call this one user and let's call the other one groups. So these are the things you can create. Just do this. So if let me say this is for users and let me say this is for we will check all this from the portal. So then for users, what do you need? You need to be able to, so what they can just do for you is to create a profile for you. So let me just put that you need a profile to be a user. That is all that is needed. Profile. So, but for groups are also, there are two things that are involved if you are creating groups. So there are group type, and there are what's it called again? They are assignment type. So let me just quickly that into this and this. So I can just call this. Sorry for my drawing. So let me just call this one group types. And for group types, you can either be a security, or you can either be part of the security group. I will explain what this means in a moment. Security or M365 M365 group. Security 365. So for the other assignment type, it can either be, let me give it, just said assignment types. So you can either be assigned or dynamic in your assignment type. So all these ones, if you're familiar with managing Azure Identity, for the people in maybe Sync, they call them identity group, identity team. I think at Tech Expert. So why do I keep mentioning Tech Expert? They are the one that have like a whole, they have different teams for all these aspects of Azure. So they have a better, in fact, if you engage anybody from there that is working with Azure, they will tell you in that they are part that what they do, they can always tell you that, oh, this is what I do. And I can tell you for a fact that if you are doing something on identity, I can help you out. If you have issues on identity, I can help you out. But there is something that is common to both users and groups in Entra. What are those things? Now, they are called licenses. Also, administrative units. Also, there is bulk updates. So these are the things that are common to both users and groups. Imagine you having an organization that have over 50 developers, and those 50 developers wants to have access to Azure platform. How do you create their account? Are you going to be, okay, click on user, send to the first email address, click on this, send to, 50. And don't forget that Microsoft is all, I said Microsoft, yeah, Microsoft Azure, they are big on automation as well. So for you that are looking to delve into DevOps, it is good that you have an understanding of Azure Administrator, because there are some automations here that you can always use. So let's say the likes of PowerShell. If you're able to, I call it cooking PowerShell scripts. If you're able to cook PowerShell scripts or cook CLI, right? If you're able to just write a script like that to give an output, then you have an edge. Working on it like on DevOps environment. So I'm not talking about DevOps today. We are just talking about administering the Azure cloud environment. So that's why I'm not going to be going deep into, okay, what can you do in this? What are you not going to do in this? Because it's for DevOps, it requires so many best practices. And if you don't know, you don't know. But for this, it can always throw you error. And if it throws error, you can always troubleshoot. If it says, oh, you don't have permission to do this, you already have an understanding of, okay, if I'm given a role and I don't have permission to do something, I shouldn't be able to do it. So what you just need to do is to engage someone that's maybe the manager that understand how to give permission. That's if you're having authorization or permission issue. Right? You can always engage your senior resource that, okay, I need this so that I'll be able to do this. Then you all of a sudden you see that the error will disappear. To my Azure portal, you know how to do that. Portal.azure.com for those of you that are familiar with this. So this is how we go into our portal. So this enters the portal immediately just because I've signed in before. But I believe we all know how to sign into. But if you don't know, it is part of your fundamental class that you need to know, that you should have a knowledge on how to, create an account, sign into this. If you need to use authentication, if you need to use multi-factor authentication, you should like know all this. So now, as you can see, if you click here, you can see all your resources. So these are the things you have access to on Azure. For me, I'm using a free account. This account you are seeing is a free account. So you can see my domain here, which I registered my domain, and you can also do that. That's if you know how to, but it's something we can all learn during bootcamp. You register your domain. If you have a company, you can put your company name, and it goes like that. So how do we create user? So let's even come to Microsoft Entra. Now, this is not my, let me just say this. This account you're seeing, this NI at oadeni.com.ng is not the real account that I'm using, right? It is not the one that Microsoft gave to me as an MCT. I don't know if that makes sense to you. It is an account that I created. I created this account because I have an MCT and because I have a subscription. So all I just need to do is to, create another email address user to be able to have access to that subscription that Microsoft gave to me as an MCT. So I'm not really paying for this. So I'm only using the opportunity that I'm being granted by Microsoft that, okay, you should have access to this. Okay, go ahead. And that is why I'm able to, do all this, which is something that anybody can do if you have an understanding of Azure Administrator. So you can always search. This is a global search. You can always search for users. You can come through Microsoft Entra. But what do I want to do first before you even go there, right? What I want us to, just a moment. So I want us to create user accounts. So you can always search for user accounts somewhere here. So on the global search. So once you search for that, now why is this account able to do all this? It is because I've set something from the real account. That's the major account that I'm using as an MCT. I've set this account to be a global administrator. Note that word, global administrator. That is my role. That is the role I gave to this account. It means it can do anything relating to Entra ID. Microsoft Entra, rather. So I said note it. There's a reason why I said note it. So if it can do anything relating to Microsoft Entra, it means whatever my major accounts can do, this should be able to do it as well. Let me even show you what I'm talking about here. Let me say this. Okay. So if you look at this, you can see the difference of what I'm talking about. Can you see Adeni at Gmail, right? And you can see this as well, ni at oadeni.com.ng. I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense to any of us here. Hello, guys.
Yeah, hello.
Am I
Yeah,
speaking to myself?
there is difference there.
Yes, yes.
So it is because I created this account from Adeni Oshofie account, Oshofie tenant subscription. I created this from here. Normally, if I do anything I need to do, if I start doing it on this account, I know this is my major account and I might be in trouble at the end of the day. Probably maybe someone was able to get an information that I don't want anyone to see. If it gets out there, I might be in trouble with these accounts. And this is one of the accounts I don't want to joke with, right? So I created this account just for the purpose of this class. I decided to come up with this just because I have my custom domain already. So that's why I'm using this. So whatever I can do with my global administrator on my major account, I can also do it here. That's the essence of creating that. So now we are talking about creating user accounts. So if you remember the drawing from the start of this class, new user, invite external user. There's a place when I talk about external providers, right? So let me see. I just want to create new user. Let me who can I? Okay, let me pick some. All right. So for Aziz Adebayo. So there's a reason why I asked that question, and I want to use Aziz Adebayo as an example. So if I decide to create a user for Aziz Adebayo, let's say Aziz Ade, let me say Adebayo. Adebayo. So let me just leave that. So you creating a user for someone, you should know that these are the things you'll be filling out. Now imagine I have 30 people on this call and I want to be filling user. I want to invite all of you to this same tenant. When are we going to finish this invitation? When will it get to you guys? When are we going to be able to use the account? This is where the bulk creation comes in. Does that make any sense? Because here now, I want to do this. Let's say Aziz, last name Adebayo. Let me just give him guests. Job role, let me say administrator. Let me put company, let me just say tech. So let me say department, VM, let me say employee, NNNN. Let me say all this. Imagine going through this stress for 50, 30, 100 engineers. So it is better for us to be able to create all this at once. So let me just say I want to invite this. Required information is okay. Tabs. What is required here? Oh, display name az.adebayo. So imagine me having someone Az Adebayo as a guest. So I only have it as a user now, first. I've not even sent out invitation because we need to create everybody to be a user on that. So when you now want to send, probably you now want them to have access to their subscription or you want them to be able to do something on your tenant, that's when you will send invitation to them. So, but at the same time, let's say you now have so many people, like I've been saying, you have 100, you have 150 engineers. What do you do? Just come here, bulk creation. So if you want to create, in fact, you can do bulk delete, you can do bulk invites, you can do. So let's say bulk creation. how does bulk creation works? Now, there's something I like Microsoft for. You see, they said, please be aware of the bulk operation service limitations before using this feature. Operations can only run for up to 1 hour and has known issues in large tenants. So if I decide to click there, let me even see what are these people talking about before, you need to always read through, have a better understanding of what you are putting yourself into. Because if you don't have that understanding, there's no point you creating what you don't know. So now I want to check what is bulk operation all about. You can see enables you to perform actions on multiple entities such as users, groups, devices at once. These actions can include creating, deleting, or updating multiple records in a single operation. Bulk operations can greatly streamline, all this. Now there's a note: when performing bulk operations such as import or create, you may encounter a problem if the bulk operation doesn't complete within the hour. So it means if you have more than, maybe for last 10 and maybe let's say 500 users that I want to add, or 1,000 that exceed. So if it takes more than 1 hour to complete, there's every possibility that there will be an issue. So I like the fact that they had already put it as a note that, guys, before you try this, read through, have a better understanding of what you're getting yourself involved in. That's why it is here. Now, how do we use this bulk operation? It is not you just going to, okay, spreadsheets and copy something. First, you have to download this CSV. So let's open this CSV. So this is a spreadsheet that we are going to be using for that bulk operation. Imagine that I have 30 people on the call and I want to create, so let's just give this a try. Let's see if it will even work so that it won't be like we are just talking and we are not doing anything. Department, this. So there's something I wanted to show us here. You can see all those information that I was talking about. Usage location, all those last name, job title, department, usage location, street address, all this. You can see all of them in this Excel file, right? This spreadsheet. So you can always fill all this. In fact, if it is an HR that gives you something to do, let's say an HR of your company decides to say, oh, we need to create account for everyone that is working in our office and they need to all have access to Azure. You should be able to do this. Now let me just pick one or two people. Let me pick Uche. Uche.
Pick me.
Uche Okachuku. Who said pick me? Who is that?
It's me, Joseph.
Joseph. Okay, no problem. So we are going to fill maybe 2 or 3 people in this and send. Let's see if it will work. If this is this is just one of the labs we are doing today. So this is like a lab on its own. So let's just say Uche dot Kachuku. Kachuku. Is this correct? So let me just use my own domain at Adeniyi. Or Uche, can you give me your address? I mean, give me your email address. Just say it like that.
Okay, so Uche, there's double E in the Uche,
Okay.
ukachuku@gmail.com.
Kachuku. So I just want us to test if truly this thing is actually working, so that we know if Microsoft are just lying to us or if it is possible. So let me just give you normal, let me say $, this. So login, block login, sign in. Let me say no. First name, J. Last name, Kachuku. Job title, let me just say admin. Department, let me just say VM. Let me use a location, let me say Nigeria. So who said pick me again? John, Joseph, Joseph rather. Joseph Adejumo. What's your email address, Joseph? Is Joseph there?
Yeah. My email address is adejumoadeleke@gmail.com.
Adejumo Adeleke at Gmail, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me give you the same password. Okay. Then Joseph. So let me call you IT. Let me call you networking. So let's say you're also in Nigeria. You can decide to be anywhere though. So all that I just want to do is I want to save this copy. So just for two people now. Let's say we have it on the desktop and let's leave it as user create template. So all I need to do is close this, come back here and upload. If there's any issue, it will tell us. Can you see file uploaded successfully? Hello guys, are you with me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So there's something I want to show us here. What if I decide to remove this part and I save it? You know, that's like I remove the display name for who is that again? Joseph, right?
Yes, yes.
I remove display name for Joseph. Now I want to try something. Should this still pass validation? I doubt, but I don't know. Okay, cool. Immediately. This thing just said the CSV file you uploaded is not valid. Please verify operation type and correct CSV file. Line 5 is missing. Property required for user create name display. No. So can you see one of the beauty of Azure? It will tell you and it will point it out. So for you as an administrator, you should be able to have an understanding of how do I troubleshoot. In fact, if someone should tell you that this is what I'm seeing, you should just have an understanding of, okay, if this is it, he's telling you that line 5 is missing. This is like you coding. And one line of the code is, giving you an error. You should be able to troubleshoot and find a way around that. So if this one is saying line 5 is missing, then we should go and put the line 5. Or what, guys, what do you think? All we need to do is to put the line 5, which is what we removed earlier, Joseph. Save, close. Will it go this time? Does this make any sense to us, guys? Okay. All right, so let me just submit this. And don't forget, they said something about, You remember what we read here? They said if it takes more than 1 hour, we should just give up. They didn't put it that way. It is like following the best practice. If you want to follow best practice, it's good to just read through logs, and the logs will point it out to you that, oh, this person does not have permission to do this. And if you don't have permission, why are you trying it? It's either you're a thief. What are you looking for if you don't have permission? Right? So those things now, I purposely said I would explain the error that one got, because we're not able to even submit it. There's a reason why it is not submitting. There's a reason which we can discuss later in this class. So let's quickly check. We've talked about performing bulk accounts. So for creating group accounts, now this requires you to have P2 license. I can't try to come and be saying I want to create group. Even if it comes up, you see, let's say, let me show you something. Not that I can't create group, but there's something which I want to show us. You see this membership type. Can you see how this is grayed out? Do I have my people here?
Yes,
Hello,
yes.
guys.
Let's see here, boss.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
right with you.
So I actually wanted the class to be interactive, but at the same time, I want to be hearing people. That's why I asked. So for membership type, there are like other 3 options in this membership type, which I can't even edit based on the fact that it is this subscription that I'm using. And from this subscription, I don't have P2 license activated. So how do you know if you have the P2 license activated? How do you know? You can see it here. Can you see license? Entra ID free. If P2 license is activated, it will show here. It will definitely show in this Microsoft Entra. In fact, it will. So that means you won't see this Entra ID free. You will see P2 license activated. And P2 license, we can actually try and get P2 license for. Let me see if I can do something here. So for this one, you can see the license type. It is because it is still free. I've not activated P2, but I can actually activate P2. How do I do that? All I need is to come to license and come to get free trial. And you can see I can activate. Though it's going to probably ask for my ATM, ask for some other information just to verify. So I can activate it on this account. Now let's do the same thing on this account. License. What can we see? So if you try to activate, let's try. So anything pertaining to Entra. So I want to see if it is possible. So so that it won't be like me just saying it will ask for. So let's even see if it will ask for that thing that I said. I don't know, but let's check. You said you're signing with this. This account already exists with another. Let's just continue. Let's see what are you going to say. So it says starts free trial for 1 month, and so I'm just trying to see if it will. Okay, try now. Check out, confirm your order. Try now. Continue. Thank God. So can you see? What is he asking me for? Because I need to add payment method. At this point, do I want to add my card? No. Maybe if we have that bootcamp, we can add and see how P2 license work. So moving on. I hope this class is making sense to us, guys.
Yes.
I just want to be sure that I'm passing the right message across so that, yeah, we are all on the same page. All right, thank you. So assign license to users. So as an Azure administrator, you can assign license to users and groups. Azure is a cloud service that provides many built-in services for free. Entra comes as a free service. Like you said, you can always see this. In fact, you can see it. It was evidence in what I showed us earlier that we have Microsoft Entra ID free. Gain additional functionality with P1 or P2, which is what it was in the beginning of the class where we are marking when we say free sub can do something, some other sub can do something, right? Additional service like O365 are paid cloud services. And there's a question I want to even ask us. Okay, I think I should keep that. So if you are creating administrative units, this is optional. Let's just move on. Now, demonstration, which I've done already. I think I've done this part. So let's just move to how to manage Entra identity. So they said we should create and configure user accounts, create groups and add members. So this task 2, it is not, I can't even try it because it can only be done by P2 guys. That's people with P2 licenses.